Mic check over. Got your ISIS on. Airship 19er. Yeah, 56. Witness feet. Congruent. We are unclear of the amount of likes right now. We'll have to go back and check the cam later. But until then, we are flying on pure, raw. What's the word? Mystery. There we go. See? Wait, well, oh gosh. Did you see that deep? Oh, that was a deep one, what I just pulled up. I said we were I should probably turn on the camera. I said we were riding on pure deep, and I was like, what is the word? And the word the word was a mystery. That's the fold inside a fold. I believe that there's a layer cake to esoteric with a K. See, I just did it again. There's a layer cake to these things, and that the layer cake, it wasn't that they were bored. They were literally trying to convey to you this is the only way to understand it. 50 Mary 3, 50 Mary 3. You guys should have audio over. You have audio over. Hollow, we gotta love. Good to see you, Raina. Hope little Squeaker's doing good. Tell him that all of us give him some warm cuddly scratches on. I'm gonna say we go for under the chin. I'm saying we're collectively psychically scratching little guy under the chin right now, and yeah, I feel like there's some good action happening because of that. And it's one of those things. You know why dogs grew tails, right? Because they were so happy. They were so freaking happy. That's why. And you and I will grow tails. We do them with our tongue right now. We have electric tails, manes coming out of our mouth, right? And yeah, and I ride by bareback on those manes. It is No Pants Friday, but I cannot find my underwear. I have still not unpacked from 5'5", and I don't want to. I have got the smell of that girl all over me, 5'5", and I do not want to wash it off. Yeah, but we actually have a, there's no but. In addition to those things, because this is Aquarius here, we also have a pretty fantastic show, and I should probably stop. Oh my goodness, I just gave away a little bit of the show. That's not what I wanted to do at all. But yeah, we got a good show. Don't worry, I didn't give away. I mean, hello. Do you know how hard it is to ask Midjourney to render Thoth? You have to be thoughtful. Someone asked me today, what are the words that you use, James, to invoke the prompt that I see before me today? And the answer to you is in the Google Drive. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, if you only had access to the Google Drive. Google Drive is a place where dreams come true. We're giving away free vitriol. Tracy found some earlier this morning, and I recommend that you guys join Patreon so you can be on the Google Drive. And if you had access to the Google Drive, believe it or not, we've got an Oracle there. Now, it's not online yet, but it's getting there. It's freaking getting there. Some of you have been asking about that. We decided to add the Oracle to this. You will find that inside the Discord group, which you will be automatically added to when you become a Patreon. Okay? We're doing all kinds of things here to the Airship, one of which is mitosising ourselves into a different elevation, and it's already working. Let me take this moment to really interject something here. If you think that your posture and your esoteric understanding could be elevated, and that you could gain more compassion through the caloric exercise of your morphic, compassionate field. None of these words are even made up. It would seem more than appropriate that at the very minimum, you would be wanting and looking for an opportunity to display this proof to the world. And that James True Live, a dude literally born with the last name True, literally just born that way, is offering you a synchronistic opportunity to climb aboard a once-in-a-lifetime airship that you've never seen before and you will never ever see again. And you're watching it there on the sidelines for free, and I'm telling you, why would you not want to see that I'm giving $33 a day to James True Live? Why would you not want to see that? You get the Google Drive. You get Vitriol because you're going to have trouble learning the Google Drive when you first start. There's a literal embodiment of Athena doing water karate fucking exercises and showing you that there is better posture through witness here. You have access to libraries you've never seen. There are Easter eggs all over the place. There are miracles dropping from the sky every time we do an airship. And all of that's waiting for you because you believe in your spine enough to subject the currency of 33 into that investment. It's not even a pitch. I'm seriously asking you, how else are you going to level up? Like, how? How else? Is leveling up watching me for free on YouTube? Is that really leveling up? Or are you just simply amplifying the fact that your witness is worth nothing? Aren't you bringing the value of your own witness to me by joining the show? You get your name on the screen. You're literally running with the spirit of a girl on the beach who's so freaking brave that she's embracing the wind and letting some of you try and call her a man, by the way. And she doesn't fucking care because she's riding the lightning of mystery. And why would you not put fuel into this rocket? Holy shit, guys. Why would you not? Seriously. I love you. Happy Friday. Let's frickin' do this thing, right? Let's do it. All right. Welcome to the Underworld, ladies and gentlemen. What in the world am I talking about? What is James talking about? And what I'm talking about is the peculiar idea that the Egyptian Book of the Dead, when you translate what it was actually called, was the Book of Walking in the Light of Day. It wasn't the Egyptian Book of the Dead. It was the Book of Walking in the Light of Day. And I ask you, do you think there could be a psychological component that would explain why culture, why all of academia, some of the most uptight capillaries of esoteric wisdom that you could possibly imagine? I want you to picture that academia is the capillaries of wisdom because you're just going to get the tiniest infused, just really, really minced pieces of it. And that even those guys who are so strict on, well, if you don't understand the etymology, then you have no reason to talk about the underlying meaning of it all. And that those people, even those people, are walking around going, yeah, it's the Egyptian Book of the Dead. It's the Egyptian Book of the Dead. And when you put them in the corner, in the parking lot, on level C, you're like, why are you calling it the Egyptian Book of the Dead? Like, well, it's the Book of Walking the Light of Day. It's the Book of Walking the Light of Day. And you're like, okay, thank you. And then you think you're mean. You think, oh God, I'm so mean because I'm intimidating. There's this whole other lesson. So you go to Airship, but then you come back and you realize that in February 20th, 2023, the Egyptians Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities released the first photos of a newly discovered text at Saqqara. Just this year. We're still finding this stuff. Just this year. Look how pristine this is. This is Amos's quote Book of the Dead, but you and I now know that's actually not the Book of the Dead. What is it again, James? Can you tell me again? I will tell you again. Let this burn through the pen of Ra into the silicone of your brain. The potassium that's storing this is the Book of Walking in the Light of Day. Amos's Book of the Dead dated to 300 BC and measured 52 feet in length. The irony is stunning, I know. What can I say? In the 113 chapters, the owner's name Amos appears 260 times. The word Amos means child of the moon. You could call it the Book of Coming Forth by Day. And really the word book isn't actually accurate. It's really spells for going forth by day. That we've turned the meaning of spells for going forth by day into the Egyptian Book of the Dead. We've literally taken all the magic, the spells that we can see, and castigated it into the darkness. You understand? Oh, that was fitting. I actually thought the camera was on, but then I was like, well, actually, that's the darkness. Good job, James. Sink. Buy me a Coke. Just don't, because it's not actually a real beverage. This is another Book of the Dead. Most Egyptians considered it I'm going to call it a social construct. I'm going to call it that because we tend to think, oh, they did it for religious reasons, but religio wasn't even invented yet. It was much more, right. It was much more primal then. It's much more primal, and these books were keys. They were the spells used to go forth by day, by day. Back then, they were called. What are you doing today? I'm working on my spell book that I use during the day. And they're like, how fitting. It's literally the day right now. And he's like, I know. That's the best time to see. The sun's out. The raw's out. And I can see. Well, you better wear some suntan lotion. Yeah, I know. I've got some crocodile semen over here. I'd like to make sure that everything's okay. In the opening scene, Ahmose is worshiping the idol of Osiris, and Osiris is placed inside a booth. This symbol is the word for rest. And it actually goes deeper than the meaning of rest. I hate to skip ahead, but I think actually I wanted to tell you this first. And if you can't see this on the screen, these are 5 symbols that basically phonetically spell out Christ. And that when you wish someone a Merry Christmas, you were speaking Egyptian. You were telling them, have a merry burial. Happy burial to you. I want you to enjoy your burial. Enjoy your rest, is what they're saying. Enjoy your rest. And so most of these books of the dead, I say most because I haven't looked at all of them, but every one of them, definitely every one of them features Osiris, and typically it's the beginning. Why? Because this is the beginning of your book of walking by day. And so now you understand why they call it the Book of the Dead, because the beginning of the book begins with a death. The very first thing that happens in the book is Osiris dies. And this is, my friends, this is some profound things. Profound. Because this gives you this pours all the truth into the room at once. And thank God for mythology, because the academics couldn't mess it up, because they had to just preserve what it said. And thank goodness they encapsulated in a folder called Mythos. And that mythos was treated sacred. And so all of these social fashions weren't allowed to erode it. Some of them did, which I'm about to show you, although we might not get to it today. But we'll just drive the car, James. Drive the car. Now, Adam and Eve and Osiris have the same thing. Adam and Eve and Osiris went through the same thing. The story of Osiris is that he was at a wedding party, and his brother Set said, "Oh, great Osiris, I made you a beautiful, beautiful box." And actually, oh, brother, forgive me. Let me start over. Oh, brother, on your wonderful birthday, I constructed this beautiful box. And there's only one person here in the room. Out of all of you, there's only one that would fit perfectly. And so I ask each of you to take the opportunity to celebrate this beautiful box by seeing if you would fit. And everyone at the party tried to fit, but no one would fit. Except Osiris. He fit perfectly. It was alchemically in sync. It was as if Osiris was following the star on his way into a village. We'll call it Bethlehem. Yeah, they got together and they were like, "This is our village now," right? And through this syncing, he knew what the Romans were going to do. Osiris knew, because Osiris was king. How do you get to be king? You know shit. You know things. And at the very beginning of his life, the story goes that Osiris was deceived, and it's the same story that happens at the beginning of Adam and Eve, that they were deceived. And what does deceived really mean? Does deceived actually mean to be lied to? Or does deceived actually mean to be separated from that which you perceive? And when we look at the root of perceive, we decide that perceive, is more akin to becoming aware of or conscious of something. And so to deceive would also mean, or even etymologically, a closer definition to what it means would be the pulling away from or out of consciousness. Therefore, Adam and Eve were deceived, Osiris was deceived, and neither of them were tricked. Do you understand? Neither of them had this beautiful, beautiful victimhood complex that we have, where we can actually invent the word, I was deceived. If you think about what the word deceived means, it is covered in the stickiest victimhood you can imagine. It creates a world in which you have zero control over your perception, and that you have zero control over discerning your environment, and that something else outside of you is now allowed to take blame or responsibility for your own power. To be deceived is to vent. It is to shed power. And that's a definition that you and I have been raised in, but thank goodness for etymology, we can go back and see what it really means. Osiris was deceived. Eve was deceived. They removed what they knew before. If people spent their whole life fearing death, can we be sure those people would be willing to accept it once it came? Every book in this show begins with a death. And that death is the light of day. And the story of Osiris is a story of being divided into, how many cells are in the body again? 30 trillion pieces. Osiris is divided into 30 trillion pieces. And each of them begin to walk in the light of day. And they begin only because Osiris was deceived. He was gutted and removed of his consciousness and split into tiny, tiny pieces. And you and I are those pieces today. And so maybe this is the underworld. And maybe you and I are here measuring our own hearts in real time. And only on our deathbed will some of us have enough compassion to wash away the angst. And we'll finally see that everyone in our life is an innocent child. This river of time that you and I are on right now, this barge that you and I proclaim as the overworld, is the underworld. And we tell ourselves that this judgment is coming later, not now. We are insisting that this is not happening every moment, right now. Whoops. I woke up to this once. And when I say this, I don't actually mean this particular place. This is actually a rendering. I could tell, James, because it's really cold, because I can feel how art is cold. And even though that's an emotion, I'm still saying that a machine cannot insert an emotion, even though it's making me feel an emotion right now by hating it so much. Oh my God, James, you just made my soul explode because you just see me. Oh, I'm going to need to come to Airship and join right now. Holy fuck. Oh, 33. I woke up to this one, seriously. I was in Georgia, near the George Guidestones, actually. And I was camping by a river. I pulled in really late. It was like 3 in the morning. I didn't actually realize how pristine I had landed. And I took my pad out and just threw it right on the ground in front of my car and just slept. And when I woke up, I saw this. And when I see this, I want you to see the mirroring of the lake. If you're listening on the podcast, it's just a lake that has a mirror where the mountains are both in the water and out of the water. And if you can imagine yourself waking up, laying down, then you can see what I see. You would see a world that is actually horizontal and it's split. It's split in two. There's a hemisphere, my beautiful, beautiful, beautiful brains. The hemisphere is right there. This whole world is reflecting both sides. And for a moment, I remembered who I was. I remember that I was born upside down. I'm sorry, that I was grown from the tree of my mother upside down. And only in the third trimester, prune my lips if I'm wrong, but only in the third trimester did I decide I'm going to flip over. I'm going to decide this is now right side up. And neither one of them were real. Because when I woke up one morning in Elberton, Georgia, I saw this. And I understood I was the one that was assigning good and evil to the world. I was the one that deciding that this is the one that I'm going to call up, and this is the one I'm going to call down, and there will be no in between. And I clung to gravity, and I clung to my ideals as I cling to them now, only now I'm having more fun. I'm doing nothing differently. Esoteric is not an action. Esoteric is a dilation. It's a drinking. Birth. Shall we begin? Is everybody having a good time? Everything good? Birth. I'm going to start by talking briefly about the Baphomet. I'm going to urge you all to buy the book Ark of Baphomet by James True. That dude frickin' nails it. It's available on audio right now. And yeah, if you were in Google Drive at a certain level, you might frickin' find a copy. But I'm not saying that because mystery is abounding. But seriously, I do need you to consider, I do not have time to put all this in here. There's a book that really nails this. But you're looking at the Baphomet. And before I explain this, I need you wonderful people to hear that I do not think that Egyptian culture used to know things. I do not think that there are secrets that were left over from older civilizations that were preserved in a room, although that is possible. I do not think that explains what I'm showing you. I am trying to tell you that the mandala sonar that we've been talking about, and now that I've cleared the room of objectivists and majoritarians, I can now get to the crux of what's really real and truly what's happening is that the entire esoteric truth of this entire place has to be somewhere. And that place has to be somewhere in everyone's mind at the same time, or else it wouldn't be a universal truth, which gives you a giant clue that you can go back through history and simply understand what were universal terms, and you're looking directly at a stud wall. Do you understand? This is a load-bearing wall because everyone knows it. And when you go to Egypt, you are not looking at a high time that once existed. You are looking at the truth in the room, rendered somewhere where you're not going to freak out about it. It has to be there. And thank God for mythos, because it's this milky substance that we who freak out over truth, and all of us do, have used to cover our eyes to insist we're safe from it. And we're clever that way. We've brandished the truth and castigated it into a prison of 6,000 years ago. Right? And it's here, but it's not touching us because we're calling it Disney. That's why we have Disney. We're like, we hate Disney. You don't hate Disney. If you didn't have Disney, all these people that know that magic is real would be cannibalistic wizards, and they'd insist that it wasn't them. And they'd be setting people on fire with their own psychic force this entire time, and they'd insist it wasn't them. And that is still happening now, but thank God we have something like Disney that's able to short out those man-bear pigs. And that's why people are so mad about Disney, or people love Disney. It's because you're looking at the electricity. This is how it works. You know this. You know this. And that in the history, there is this figure of Baphomet. This is the Greenfield Papyrus. It's not 52 feet, ladies and gentlemen. This is 121 feet, found in 1880. And then in 1880, this figure is holding up the sky, But more importantly, it's creating the separation between the womb. That is above, so below, there's now a new space that's formed. And this new space, what you're looking at, when you understand these things, and if you read my book, you already know, you're already there, you're already vibing, you're already sailing down the sea. You know, holy shit, James, there's the chimeric twins that you talked about. Thank you. And what are they doing? They're separating the waters from the waters. They're creating the very first creation of air itself. And that's what happens at your seed. That the zygote does this very same thing. And that the truth of that would have to be somewhere. And where do we put it? We put it into our mythology. We put it as far back to the timeline as we can remember. Do you see the resonance? Give me an Amun Ra if you do. Do you see the resonance that the very, very first memory that you have would be the very, very oldest civilization that we can remember? Can you see how those would need to line up? Of course you do. You see it. I don't even need an Amun Ra. I don't think any of you guys ever even type it when I ask for it. That's fine. But that entire process is here not because the Egyptians had a secret. They were hoarding it from you and they're going to cut your kid's dick off if you don't do this, and that you have to do that, and you're supposed to be afraid of synchronicity. Do you realize that the people that are freaking out about the symbolism are the ones that are afraid of synchronicity? Do you know why? Because Disney's not working. It's not pulling in enough of their man-bear-pigness. That the truth of the world is never ever going to come to you through the capillary of an epidemic. You're going to want to sink your teeth right into the artery and just... You're going to... Even the vein. Do you realize how much wisdom is in the vein? You tap the vein, you see how much oxygen was denied. How much was refused. How epoxic is this anyway? You're bringing it back to the heart, and the heart's like, I made that for you. And the blood's like, I know, I didn't want to fucking use it. He's a fucking pussy. What about I do? Not a pussy. Pussy is beautiful. Coward. And that unrequited oxygen, those are swords in the stone, right? The hemoglobin, the iron. We have the myth of the sword and the stone because 30 trillion of us are King Arthur. 30 trillion of us have a sword in the stone. And that sword is placed where? Lady Vivian, right? The lady of the lake, the center of your heart, enriches your liquid by placing the sword, by giving you the sword, right? She places the sword in the stone. This is not an Arthurian secret that only that Francis Bacon knew because he was the descendant of... You know what? Maybe it is that way. It wouldn't change the fact that we are talking about morphic, not resonance, which is beautiful. We're talking about morphic compassion. We're talking about the ability to understand things by being able to simulate what must be there. And when you find these stud walls, you know what must be there. And that's why $33 a day is seriously like nothing to this. Guys, $1 is like 19 cents now anyway. It really is. It's a magical ceremony you have, and you can invoke that using the tribe. That's what's so freaking cool about all this. If I'm being too pressured, it's because I really want the show to do well. I want what we're doing here, the caliber to raise up, and it just, yeah. So there you go. Suck it if you don't like it. Oh, Jim's just advertising things. I should stop. Can you talk about Baphomet? Yes, I will. The chimeric Baphomet, the Sphinx, the Lamassu of the Assyrians, right? Look at all these Baphomets. You're surrounded by the chimeric genetic seed. If you don't know what that is, you're just going to have to read the book. It's just, there's so much to cover right now. But I need you to know that there's four corners in the Garden of Eden. They're guided by a chimera, aren't they? They're guarded by a chimera. What does that mean? It means that once the serpent is in the garden, the chimera is telling everyone else, this seed's taken. This Garden of Eden has been plucked, my friend. Actually, it's been gestated. It's been gestalted. And I hope we get to that word. God, I love Germans. They give us the perfect words. She exalts Baphomet. She exalts him. She exalts Horus and Baphomet at the same time. Why? Because Horus and Baphomet are parts of the same process. They're part of the... They're part of the gestating process. She exalts Baphomet the whole time. We're going to get to the rest of these too. As we spoke about before, the atom, the atom Kadmon, the primal atom. And you've seen this as Banabjedit in the north and Mendes, or Khnum in the south at Karnak. And that I'm suggesting to you that these are simply the incarnation of the resonance of compassion. The resonance of understanding who we are is inside the Baphomet, which is inside Daksha, an Indian goat man charged with creating population, and with Pan, and with He, Khnum and Neith are actually the primordial partners that are the same as Prometheus and Epimetheus, and these are the same as Lamech, and depends on who you argue his wife was, Shuma, Ada, or Zillah, that those two are the primal Aedum at their first split. At the very beginning of the first split, the very thing of life itself, the split. James, what do you mean by split? I'm talking about mitosis. I'm talking about meiosis. I'm talking about the very first thing that you did to become life as you split. You sexed yourself. What? What do you mean I sexed myself? You did. You put on some music. You put some bath salts on. You locked the door and you said, hey, some of us are going to be on the inside and some of us are going to be on the outside. And you let the music play, the jazz played, and you guys made a decision. And that decision is actually a core wound. It's beautiful. I love core wounds. We'll talk about that later. But that the children of these processes are the only ones that have actually entered into the scarab, which we'll talk about in a second. The children of Noah, the children of Deucalion, that Noah and maybe his wife was named Naama, Deucalion, and maybe probably Pariah, mother of Pandora, that opening of the box is what? The opening of Osiris. Pandora's box. The opening of Osiris. The releasing. And all these processes, the reason why they symmetrize is not because there's a secret society that kept a book from you, but God forbid one of you was clever enough to steal it and you got it through and you didn't piss on it and burn it because you're a freaking savage and that you saved it this whole time and now it's there. Yes, that could have happened, but it's not required because of morphic compassion, because of morphic resonance. The truth, you've been building the truth the whole time. You've been sonarcating the whole time. You've been sonicating the whole time. You've been building a resonant map of this entire world from inside the womb. I actually think that's why you go there first. You have a lot of work to do. The first thing baby does is build the universe. He says, I can sense that there are trillions of consciousnesses. I can't even count them. Maybe there's 30 trillion. I don't know. I haven't even invented a context for numbers yet, but I can sense them all. And for 9 months, the baby is carving stars into the heavens because those are other hymns, hers. And he knows they're out there, and he has to figure out a way to draw it. And he's going to use his GPU, he's going to use his brain to come up with the best visualization for that. And you know what? Mama's helping him. Because when they dream at night, Mama's looking at these macaroni pictures that baby's making. And she can't help it. Her own face is simply correcting him to where things maybe could be better, where they're not. She can't help it. Why? Because she has the morphic compassion, the morphic resonant compassion and wisdom. They're the same thing. They're the same thing. And that's why when you go to academia, you're only going to get that wisdom through a capillary. Just the teeniest, tiniest release. Just we know things, and James actually Khnum, and hey, weren't always the same figure because some of them weren't necessarily seen as go, but more of a ram and it's just like, yeah, I know. And if we wait 1,000 years, these two are going to be the same because no one's listening to you. Because you're a capillary. And the reason why no one's listening to you is because the truth has to be in the room, and you, my friend, the academic, are not ready to accept and look the goat between the eyes and see what Egypt really is. The land of the black is the truth in the room. It's telling you the whole time. Yeah, mystery. Right here. Get your mystery. We got all kinds of things. That's why symbolically we had to render it as covered in sand. We had to render it as broken tombs, run over by sand bear pigs. Oh my God, sand bear pigs. I'm sorry. I try not to do too many words at once. But sand bear pigs. That most of the Egyptian religion that you even see now is actually sand bear pigs. And that actually is not even what's underneath that, which would perfectly fit with this fractal idea of morphic compassion. He's right, you know. He's right. The children of Noah did not live 900 years. Noah did, but no one else did. And Noah had 3 sons. And I'm here to tell you that those three suns were our morphic compassion understanding our environment, and that we hadn't yet reached our radar, our sonar. We haven't driven our sonar far enough to sense that there were more, that Noah had more children. But we can sense and know that he had three: African, Asian, and European. There's a fourth, Ham's son, Canaan, and if you read the book Ark of Baphomet, you'd be really, really kind of like, holy cow, I did not know that. And then we'd have to laugh because she said holy cow, because there's like a play in there with, anyway. The children of Noah did not live 900 years. And when you read an inscription, the figures face the direction as if they're facing the reader. And that you see this over and over again, that Baphomet, the Baphomet, brings the scarab. The Baphomet brings fertility. The Baphomet brings regeneration. The Baphomet brings death and rebirth. And that the scarab itself is morphic compassion to the blooming of consciousness. Right? And that this doesn't have to be a secret teaching. Esoterics was never secret. Why would they build a temple at Karnak? If you knew about the temple of Karnak and you were telling yourself that it was full of secret teachings, can you see how there's sort of a problem? That if you're looking for wisdom from the secret keepers and you literally know that there's a public word called the Temple of Karnak, that kind of should give it away that these people are retards if they're there to keep secrets, that they've really, really gone about this the wrong way. Esotericism is not about secrets. It's about dilating. That there are resonance to these words. The mandala itself of understanding is going to ring inside of you, and most of Egypt's architecture is reflecting that, and it doesn't have to be real. What did you say, James? It doesn't have to be real. God, guys, this is why I had to cut off so many heads last week. It doesn't have to be real, and you and I are not going to be able to have a conversation until you start to understand that. The reason why no one can claim the pyramids is because they're rendered. We're rendering these things. And as our compassion, as our morphic compassion grows, we will discover who built these things. But until then, they were not built. I need you to know that. You're like, what are you talking about, James? By the way, some of you are like, I see chemtrails over Egypt, James. I think I need to pay $33 because it'll make them go away. If you think about it, when you give a structure credit to a man, that would be the lowest form of resonance where you've animized a building. And you've animized it by saying this was built by man. It was made by man. And that the reason why we argue and we don't actually know who built the pyramids is because they were not made by man. They are rendered by man. That we render them because the truth needs to constructually be in the room. There has to be a load-bearing wall in everyone's mind called the pyramids. There has to be. And I need you to start thinking that way, because if you do, and I don't need, it's not a cult. We're a clan. Okay? And if you can think of this way, you're going to find a shitload of free electricity. Tons of it. And you're going to notice we don't even take away the mystery. She still has her clothes on. It's freaking beautiful. Look at her over there eating her little noodles, pretending like she doesn't eat a lot. Look at her. Look, why would you want to spoil that, right? Where we go here puts you into a different psychic framework, an esoteric posture. I'm telling you, you get there. But it's not going to happen with objective reality. You got to let go of the wall. James, stop preaching. You already got rid of those people. Thank you. Consciousness is a flower, and it grows in petals that look like skulls. And that the resonance that you see around you is not evolution. It is compassionution. It is consciousnution. Those aren't even real words, but this is the mandala of consciousness needing a larger petal to hold its pollen. And that these skulls don't actually even need to belong to anyone that was real. That you and I swear, I know this is hard to imagine. Please sit down. Pull over if you need to. I know this is hard to imagine. But that we are so powerful as a psychic force, our placebo, our ability to lie is so powerful that we can warp space and time. And when we collectively lie, we collectively insert shovels, fingers, all the tools, all the instruments you can into the world, and we change it. We change it. And you can't say you don't do this, because inside your body right now, the placebo center, the part of your brain that lies, does this whenever you're sick. It placebocates, and that all of our history is placebocated because the truth has to be in the room, and we need a structural wall or else we can't get here. That we have been growing in understanding. So much there, I just have to leave it. We'll come back to it. Or come to Airship. We can talk more about it. I want to go into the lotus a little bit. That inside of all these books, you have this concept of the lotus. The Toweret and Thoth. I'm going to start with the lotus. Because when you're looking at the lotus, I think you're looking at the umbilical cord. I'm not trying to say I invented this. I'm not the only one who's written this. But you're looking at the umbilical cord. And that when you see something like this, the barge of life has two sides. And on both sides, there's a lotus. And that both sides are the umbilical cord. And I spoke about this on Wednesday. Actually, I yelled about it Wednesday. But you enter into the umbilical, and your entire life is this barge. And the Egyptian Book of the Dead is telling you this is your life, and you're riding your umbilical through the river of time. And how did it all start? By Osiris resting. And that from Osiris resting, Baphomet, with the help of Pharaoh, was able to pull forth these snakes, these serpents. And that this is the essential birth of fertility from Baphomet, telling you that you're going to need a snake that's going to snip into a garden, and it's going to sneak up on Eve, on Isis, and say, hey baby, you want some fruit? And she's going to be like, no, I don't like fruit. I know the sugar in fruit, that's not very good. And he's like, hey baby, the fruit is surrounded by a complex fibrous tissue that causes it to digest slower. So it's not gonna hurt you, baby. And she's like, really? I didn't know that. It's like, yeah, baby, you gotta understand. Sugar's not the problem, baby. No, it's not sugar. It's the amount, man. You don't want to freebase it. That's all. Sugar's good for you, baby. And she's like, well, I guess I'll try it. I guess I will. And I just told you the Garden of Eden story, didn't I? And not only that, I just told you what happens when a sperm convinces its way into the egg. It convinces its way in. And how does it do it? Once it gets through, it releases its capsule of DNA. It gives it its apple. And she needs it. She's hungry. She doesn't actually, it's the only part of her body that's missing something. It's literally missing the apple that he brings. So she was not deceived. She was satiated. Eve was satiated. And an entitlement and a satiation are the secrets of fertility of life itself. It's how we got here. It's how it works. Snake pants. All through these Egyptian books of the dead, you have this concept of lotus, and look at it right here, this umbilical cord. And you have Thoth. You have the stork, first memory. What is your first memory? Baby brings. Baby comes on stork, first memory, right? Umbilical cord, serpent. The truth has to be in the room. And before microscopes, we still know. Just like when you're a baby, you know everything. The Papyrus of Ani. Not only is she celebrating the Chimera, not only is the Chimera about to jump into the lotus. I mean, come on, guys. James True, got to read the book. It's freaking here. It's not a guess. This is morphic compassion, morphic resonance. It's all here. the chimera is entering into the lotus, which is the umbilical cord, which is that river of life. And what's happening here? Ani is overcoming the umbilical cord, the serpent. And he survives the cutting of the cord. Very, very, very important trial. Through Apos, the snake. And so the truth of the umbilical is right there. It's right there. That's why Horus is actually the umbilical cord. Again, deep, deep drops here in the book. And that Horus is above the Jed, because the spine is the very, very simplex nature of you. That when you begin with a stability, and that stability is the Jed, the vertebrae, and that vertebrae is the sacrum. That sacrum is the coccyx, and up through that is the rising of the snake. And that above you the whole time is the umbilical of Horus. Above you. And why does Horus have baboons? It's all right here. Do you understand? Baboon is breath. 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 And what is Horus doing? What is the placenta doing for the baby? Right? The lungs haven't come on yet. That it's breathing through a different process, and that process is the baboon of Horus, of the placenta, because the truth is in the room. If you look at Ani's wife here, she's holding a lotus, and a lotus is springing from her head. And they're exalting the entire process. Merry Christmas, right? Merry Christmas. And all of these end in the weighing of the heart. And the Towerette waiting, it's not actually Towerette, but this devouring creature that's going to eat you is apoptosis. It's cell death. And that your cells go through this river every moment. You realize that when your fingers form, right, that it's apoptosis that knows we don't want a finger here. And so as your fingers grow, it determines, is it good or evil that you exist? And at the end of that cell's life, it is told, it is measured, am I good or am I bad? That's the most simplest, complex way that we can resonantly say what's happening. And what's happening is that the cell is asking an outside judge, asking its set, asking its devouring crocodiles that live in the ocean around me, do you want me to continue on? And the space between your fingers says no, we don't belong here. And the cells inside your fingers say yes, I persevere, and that entire process is animized because it's real, it's conscious thought. Of course that conscious thought is going to go somewhere. How dare you insinuate, not that you are, how dare you insinuate that it should not? That conscious thought is absolutely going somewhere, which is why Thoth, the birth of memory, is associated here. It's why Horus is always looking over you, but Horus is always on the other horizon, leading you, telling you what's ahead. The lotus has a root deep in the mud. This is your ka. It's not seen. And your ba, or your name, would be your flower, your face, your mouth, and what you speak. And your tongues are the petals that speak and pollinate the world. That the entire shape that you are is a lotus. You are a lotus. You are a barge. Your entire life is that barge. See? We follow the faces as they greet. Isis is leading our memories through the world of fertility. And that this couple who you're about to meet is riding their life together. Isis leads the way. We'll get to that. First, let's talk about Taweret. The Egyptian goddess Taweret, childbirth, maternity, protection, children in the northern sky. That we've decided that the best goddess for childbirth and maternity is an alligator woman. Her consort Seth, her actual consort is Seth. She's the child of Osiris. And that this creature is not chosen at random. In fact, there are better creatures that would work even better. This creature is chosen for an important reason. As you grow, you move through several shapes. And that there's a time when you and the chicken really look like a fish. That there were times when you had consciously created your world all around you. And that when you had slits, these homologous slits that you later learned were gills, and you had this tail, that you decided this is tall red earth. This is the entire earth. This is who I am. My beautiful dog used to do this. When he was a puppy, he learned how big he was. He was like, yep, I'm this long, and I can fit in spaces like this the rest of my life. And that you do the same thing, and that you develop this tall red earth because you develop this spatial awareness of your environment. Evolutionary scientist Agassiz said, the transitory aspects of a higher animal in the course of its development reproduce the permanent aspects of the organ among adults deemed lower. Which is just a horrible way, but his is like 19th century, but it's a horrible way of saying, let me see if I can do it better, is that every animal is a morphic resonance of its lower form. That the phi ratio that is expressing itself, the mathematical ratio, is a resonance that expresses itself through the conscious form. That the flower of consciousness has many, many emanations, and that these emanations are just simply ripples that you and I have decided to call real. And that we are so close to the chicken, the tortoise, the salamander, and the fish that we have no choice but to build our world around the Taweret, and to understand that when you go to rest and you say Merry Christmas, you begin a journey through all of these creatures up above. All of these life forms, all of these consciousness are vibrated like rattles. And that vibration is you emanating up from your lotus. Geoffrey St. Hilaire was the first to show that human skulls have, at a given moment in their development, a number of points of ossification equal to the number of pieces shown by the skulls of fish. Later said, before achieving its complete development, the fetus passes through a series of forms that recall final forms of less perfect animals. Resonance compassion. The consciousness is teaching itself consciousness through resonance. And that consciousness decides, here's a place I could live, but it's half water and half land. And so I think I should resonate myself here as frogs. And it works. It's brilliant. It's the economy of line, the academy of scale, all invoked in one beautiful symphony of efficiency. Truth is always in the room. Taweret Earth is right there. One of these is an alligator. One of these is human. Taweret Earth. One of these is an alligator. One of these is human. And I'm wrong. I'm actually just kidding. That's a human. It's not an alligator. It's a human. And it's entered into Taweret Earth. And if you look at all the different stages that baby goes through, from blastocyst to 16-cell stage to 8-cell stage, right to 4 cells, 2 cells, 20 weeks, 16 weeks, 18 weeks, that all of these are completely different Earths. Their entire universe is completely different. And I guarantee you, I know you can't remember, but I guarantee you're rendering the world as a Taweret back then. You're rendering the world as a Taweret. And I guarantee you that if we could picture you would have your hands like this and you'd go, and you'd have this understanding that you'd see the world through that way. And your God would be the plastic hand extenders, right? That would be your God. And that the cosmos would be built on this prehistoric Jurassic world. And oh my God, we have an entire Jurassic world. We have an entire realm of paleontology that will take the smallest fragment of bone and insist it is a Alawala Kalalala super extra califragilisticsaurus. And I'm not even kidding. That there's like a Giganosaurus and then a super Giganosaurus and then a mega Giganosupersaurus. And that all we do is find more stories and more belief to post on these little tiny things because we remember. We remember it so fucking hard that we fucking lie it into existence because this is life. And we are lifing. We are lying. And we resonate our compassion as best we could the same way that consciousness resonates a frog on the beach. We resonate the same things in history. That's how powerful you are. You are a placebo dynamo. You are a placebo dynamo, and you're worth 33. All of you should sign up for Patreon right now. This stuff is only going to get better. We want altitude here, and we need your help getting the altitude up. The symbol in our modern language, there is no word that designates the exact meaning of symbol. As it was conceived by the ancients, this is why I should like to replace the word symbol with the word medu netter, which conveys the signs that bear the netters. And so to understand Egypt is to understand netters. Oops. I'm so sorry, guys. Netters. I'd like to replace the word symbol with the word medu netters, which conveys the signs that bear the netters. Netter in the Platonic sense. Do you know why? Do you know how Plato came up with his Platonic solids? I bet you thought I was going to say Egypt, and I'm actually going to say morphic compassion, which is the same thing. It's the same thing. And the capillaries of academia aren't going to be able to talk about that. They're going to have something more tangible that fits through the tiniest straw. It's the only way they're going to see, and that's okay. We need them. They're great. They're so cute. They're like, oh, you don't know anything because you don't... It's great. Seriously. I wouldn't change a thing. Those guys, we need them. Walking around the university, accusing each other of gendering. It's great. But that's the core wound. They're exercising the core wound right now. Life is the faculty of reacting. We're going to actually get into this quote. I think actually next time. It depends on... It's 12 o'clock, but... hang on a second. Come on. And then we come to the Thoth. The first memory. Well, James, why would the ibis be associated with the first memory? And that doesn't make any sense. More importantly, why is the Thoth always looking right at you? I swear, I can't tell you how many times I've looked in the Egyptian hieroglyph and Thoth's looking at you. He's not looking at anyone else. Everyone else is paying attention. Thoth's looking at you. You. And I haven't had time to add up all the Egyptians. That's why I need more of you to join 33, because if you were to sign up for Patreon 33 right now, I'd be able to do that, and you'd be raising your own vibration. But I'd love to do that. I'd love to be able to count how many times I've seen Thoth staring at you. But it's actually more than that, because Thoth brings the first memory, and the reason why he looks like that... Look, here's another one. He's looking right. Look at him. He's looking at you. He's looking at you. He's like, hey, remember me? Get it? It's a joke. He's like, hey, remember me? To be thoughtful is to remember, to be memorful. Memorful. Why? Well, look at this. The thoughtful brain. Look at that. Won't you look at it? Just look at it. Just look at it. It's a lateral view. 3 primary brain vesicles giving it a trunk. Almost looks like an ibis, doesn't it? And the very first thoughts that you had, the very first things that were coming from your pons and your cerebellum and your midbrain, your hypothalamus and the cerebrum and the medulla oblongata, that all those things were your first memories. And because your first memories come from Thoth, Thoth gave you the root of all language, the root of all magic, which is placebo. And that all of those things would have to come from this shape because they came from this shape. And so you need the truth in the room, which is why you say, hey guys, can we call it Thoth? And you do. So you do. And anything that looks like Thoth is going to be associated in the same way because what James True is telling you today is freaking right the fuck on. And you're like, holy shit. Right? That's why there's the stork. Right? Back then, it's a little bit more classy, right? Hey, we have a new baby. And now the stork's like walking into the restroom saying, girl, you pregnant. I read this meme. I'm kind of hoping you guys will laugh. Go, haha, that's funny. James made a funny meme. James are good at making funny memes. That's funny because it's esoteric. And this burns in there. This will burn into there. If you think the meme's funny. Look at this guy. He's like, girl, you pregnant. Look at his hair. He's like, man, you would not believe how hard it was to park to find you, bitch. But here you are in the Sheets bathroom. And I'm here to tell you, girl, you pregnant. You pregnant, right? And it's okay because you're going to get some cheese sticks. You're going to go in. You're going to be, hey, man, it's okay. I'm going to have some cheese sticks. And Stork's going to be like, you bringing me cheese sticks, right, bitch? Because I had to come a long way. It's a bad part of town, girl. What are you doing in this part of town, right? Oh, I misgendered the stork. You're probably right. Right, the Thoth. Same thing with Ganesh. All of these truths that we see when you're watching people argue over the Christians were actually stealing it from the Hindus and the Hindus were acid and Jesus wasn't a real person. Blah, blah, blah. It's like none of that. No, that's the capillaries of asininity. The capillaries of asininity are going to argue with you and tell you Jesus wasn't real. But you know what symbols are. You look around and you know if everyone knows what the fucking word Jesus is, then Jesus is real. So shut the fuck up and sit down. Let's discuss Jesus. Let's stop having this discussion that an archetype isn't real, that you and I both know. The fact that you're using the word Jesus tells you it's fucking real. Thoth told you that. You have memory of Jesus. You know how I would know if Jesus wasn't real is if you came up to me and said, hey, have you ever heard of someone named Jesus? I don't know why that rings a bell. Then I would believe you that Jesus isn't real. The truth is always in the room because it has nowhere else to be. You are living in a cathedral of ribs, emanating the sounds of truth. You have no fucking choice. You are addicted to truth. You are drinking it every day, and all you can do is find new ways to keep breathing as it's rushing down your throat. So you push it into mythos, you push it into Vedic literature. You insist it's everything but actually in the room, and that's okay. I do it too. I'm not here to castigate you. I'm here to masticate you. Right? We're not here to castigate, we're here to masticate. Right? Put the mask up, right? Right? Leonardo da Vinci, right? Hemoglobin. Utanglitan hemoglobin. I don't know why I put this slide here. Don't know why it's black. Pretty sure I probably had a good point to drop, and I didn't. More on the Thoth. Okay, so it had to be with hemoglobin. Thoth and hemoglobin. I don't know, guys. Sorry. If you come to Airship, I better remember it. This is one of the examples of things that we find in the writing is Thoth writes the words of Amun. And Amun, I want you to consider, is consciousness. That Thoth emanates consciousness through the recording of memory. That the only reason why we're able to do that is through see this water? These waters? Whenever you see that hieroglyphic water, it's time to learn something. Whenever you see that hieroglyphic water, think, and I want you to think about the vibration of a river of sound in your tongue, because that's what stands for. And Thoth writes the words of Amun. Remember the hieroglyphs are always facing the reader? And so what do we have in front of Thoth? Look at that. We got the lotus. We have it right there, guys. The ancient text itself that tells you about Thoth is this idea that out of two there is this pod, this horizon. Do you see the horse? It's an upside down Ankh. Guys, you have to join at 33. I just told you. How much could you nail this more? No offense, Jesus. I'm just using this as a metaphor. Don't take it personally. But how much could you nail this more than what I just said. That Osiris goes in the box, he's split into many pieces. Out of those pieces, life is born upside down. It hangs from a tree, and that tree is branched to the Horus, to the umbilical. And that the first thing that happens from this is memory is formed, and memory is scribed into the scribed. Look at this, it's scribed. Here's the pen, right? Of Amun. The light is the memory. Light and memory are the same. This is why people say light is information. Light and memory are the same. When you drink light, you remember. If light is shining on you and you do not drink, you do not remember. Do you know when you go to school? Right now, some of you are not paying attention. Right now. I don't want to mention your name, but I see you. Right now. You don't know what I just said. And now you're like, well, fuck. And it's okay. But I'm going to use you as an example. Okay? The light came, but you did not drink. That's why you don't know. Right? And this is what this is saying. The Thoth writes the words of Amun. And when you drink, you remember. To remember is to drink. To insist it didn't happen is to deceive yourself, is to remove the consciousness from the room, and you have melanin to do that. You have a shield to melanicate your way to a new world of safety and hide. And I don't blame you. I do it too. We all do. It's how we survive. It's how we survive. Have I done too many? Have I pushed too much in the 33? Have I asked you too much to join? Let me know in the comments. Let me know. Let me know. Tell me if I'm doing it too much and that I have no right to try and gather some fruit for all the work that goes into thinking about these things. And it's passion. I freaking love doing this. But we could do it at a higher caliber. And that's why it'd be great if you could support the show. It'd be great if you could support the show. Tell me if I'm doing this too much. Spectral Jen, tell me. I'm here to learn my ways. But I think I've spent so much time not doing it that it's hurting the airship, and I want us to go further. This is why Thoth makes the calculations of the heavens, stars, and earth. He's scribing the heavens. That baby knows everyone in the world, even when mother doesn't. Do you know why? Because mother has deceived herself. She hasn't drank. But baby drinks it all. Baby's safe. Baby can afford the calories. And so baby uses that time to calculate the size of the earth, the size of the heavens, and the size of the stars so that everything has a place inside it. This is why Thoth is the true author of every work, of every branch of knowledge, human and divine, because Thoth is drink. And what do you see the ibis do but land on the waters of the Nile and appear to drink? And the first time he's like, oh God, this is really bad water. Oh God, this is really bad. Well, I just drank salamander Pete. Oh. And then he learned to symbolically, esoterically drink. He probably was going for fish. Yeah. And, anyway. Your entire life, you're writing this book. Entire life. That is actually for next time. Let me just make sure that there's Airship today. Yeah, I'm going to wait. Next time we're going to cover Horus. And I'm going to cover Horus on Monday. And it's going to be a public show if we get 33 33s. You might think that's a lot, but I don't think it is. If I can get 33 33s, I'll do the show public Monday. If not, we're going to have to try something different, which I'm really excited about. I think you'll like too. We're going to start a course, a Monday school. And so those are going to be. We're going to try and just find a way to keep what we're doing going. And so Monday we're going to start dedicating it to like how can we actually create a product that we're not just giving away. And you guys get to determine what's going to happen. You guys get to do that. And so I don't know what the count is right now, but I definitely will know how many signed up during the show and through Monday. So, but if you're already on board at 33, man, Monday, I can't wait to tell you more. We're going to talk about Horus and the Sphinx. And if you're not, I think eventually you might be able to get some of that content. In fact, I might even do maybe like a 30-minute preview on Monday and then switch it off. It'd be cool if I could just do the show like I was doing. Remember how I would just do this and never ever advertise? And every now and then maybe I'd say a book or something like that. Turns out that was actually me just deteriorating my self-worth. And it's not sustainable. That's all. It's just not sustainable. So we'll try it either way. I hope that I've shown you over the last 3 years, really all I do is just focus on the content and do that. And I would only be doing this now because back in spring when I was like, guys, I could really use your help. I was trying to be polite about it. It didn't come in. So we've retooled. And at last week, things have been coming in. We've gotten a lot of help. And I think people are now like, James, let's fucking take this seriously. And that's what we're doing. So that's what's happening today. I hope you like the show. You saw just a little bit of what was in 5.5, a little bit of what's in my book that you can buy. So all these things are available to you regardless of whether or not you join 33. So I wouldn't even look at it as a loss. I think it's more of just, wow, there was a beautiful flower here that was, thriving in the valley, and I really enjoy it, and there it is. So yeah, it's been a beautiful pranic exchange, regardless of what Monday brings. But I am stoked about it, and I can't wait to tell you about Inaraku and his lovely life. And his lovely life tells us more about the principles and concepts of Horus and the Sphinx. It's so cool what's coming. So I hope you'll join it. We have Airship today, and I hope you look forward to you guys coming there too. And yeah, have a great one. And Amiraka.
For the it's